NVJ.
Hello out there, and welcome to the 151st edition of the Michael vs. Jason Horrorcast, where we love to bicker, argue, and debate all things horror, mainly one movie chosen at the end of each episode by the Devil's Wheel, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And this week we have a treat. We have a movie that's all over the place in a lot of different ways, and we're going to debate if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm pretty sure. I'm talking about 2018's Mandy, which was a Kirk victory, which gives him 2 on the season versus Jason's 3. And I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'm just here so I don't get fined. But as always, I am your host, Mike, and joining me, members 2 and 3, Jason and Kirk. What's going on, gentlemen?
What's up, man? Thanks for hosting all this time, so me and Jason can compete.
That's right.
It's really just the Jason Kirk Olympics. I just navigate you guys in different directions.
You'll hand out the trophies.
Who needs to win? That's I say, as long as all the teams have fun, that's all that matters.
That's right.
I think the wheel is just tired of your movies.
I don't know. With what you've been putting on, I feel like there's no way.
It clearly likes it. I mean,
you haven't won in a while now. So
it's been 2 weeks.
We took like a week or 2 off too. It's been like a month since you've won, but that's
but in recording time, it's 2 weeks.
Well, anyways, so we will be getting into rating and reviewing that, and stay tuned. Like I said, we'll find out what we're going to be reviewing next week. But as we always like to kick off the show,
all right, Pardon the Terror time. So Pardon the Terror this week is back to our rankings. This is the second part of our rankings. We're getting through 45 through 41 of our top 50 countdown to horror. So each of us have different things that we like. This is not the best 50 movies. This is just the ones we like the best. So
I love that preface. I love that preface.
Yes. It has to be said, because quality of movie and what we like are 2 different things.
And online hate is a thing.
A real
thing. So,
listen,
everybody, you have your top 50 that you like. All right.
Yep.
Doesn't mean they have to be the greatest movies of all time. We all like that cheesy movie.
Oh,
yes,
man. We all like bad movies. And so far, we've gone through 5 of them, and we've had 0 repeats over the first 5, which we fully expected. We will see some repeats, I'm sure, as we go through the list, but it will be 3 very different lists. So just to recap real quick. So my 46 through 50 and everybody else mine was The Void, Jeepers Creepers, From Dusk Till Dawn, Monster Squad, and Halloween 4. Mike was Spring, The Collector, Haunt, The Final Girls, and When Evil Lurks. And then Jason's was The Howling, Near Dark, The Fog, Sinister, and Hostel. Now, I've got some interesting information with that. So the average year per our movies, and it plays out exactly like you think it's going to. So Mike is the newest at 2015, and that might even still go up. Who knows? He might make it to 2024 by the time we get to the end of this list.
You never know.
Jason's at the bottom at 1993, and that's a little shocking, to tell you the truth, that you're that far into the future. And I'm right in the middle, 1998. So it's going to be interesting to see these numbers kind of move around as we go through this. But what I'm going to start with is the newest, the person with the newest date. So, Mike, I'll let you go first and give us your number 45, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So coming in at number 45 for me, this one, even when it's on, I still catch it to this day. It's from 2001, and it is Joyride. So we have Steven Zahn, and we got Paul Walker, and I think it's Leela Sobieski, and of course Candy Cane. I don't know. I love those types of movies. This is quintessential I mean, it's 2001. It feels like 2001. This is like that early 2000s movie, but I love Joyride. So that's what's coming in at number 45.
Perfect. And I'm going to go next because I'm right in the middle with the years. So my number 45 is Bram Stoker's Dracula. Keanu Reeves, the whole kit and caboodle. It is a very preachy movie. It is very on the nose for the book, but whatever reason, I just love that freaking movie. I think it is so good and so entertaining to watch, but it is a movie you got to be kind of in the mood for. And about once a year I am. So we'll swing it around to Jason, see what his number 45 and 44 is.
Oh, back to back. All right. So actually, Mike, you were in 2001. I'm going to go back one year to 2000. At 45, I have American Psycho. Little Christian Bale and Jared Leto action here. I mean, this one I come back to all the time. I probably watch this a couple times a year. It's fun. It's got a lot of comedy to it as well. But it like really shows like just that nice guy who is really that psychotic killer on the outside. So
I'm blown away that your year has just gone up from the original ranking.
You hit 1994 after that.
But we all understand that he's getting them out of the way as quickly as possible so he can go back into the 80s.
Oh, did I mention it's time for 44?
Let's bring it back.
So let's go all the way back to 1983 for Sleepaway Camp. So gotta have Sleepaway Camp in here. This is also another one. We podcasted this once upon a time.
Well, that one actually never hit the air.
Kind of.
Yeah.
So I think this one we might actually have to redo at some point because it never hit the air. But this is one of those also that I come back to a lot. I probably watch this one more than twice a year. It's a lot of fun. It's got that like real twisted ending to it. But, a lot of sequels came off of it as well. And Felicia Rose, who plays Angela, the Angel of Death in this, like, she's gone on to have this like huge career and like going to all the festivals and things like that, signing autographs and things. So it's like it's classic. So Kirk, I guess this is back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sleepaway Camp is just one of those things that the first time you watched it, your jaw hit the freaking floor every time. Yeah. Nowadays, if we watch that movie, the surprise wouldn't be there because we've watched all these dumb movies for years and years. But that first time in the early 80s or mid 80s, whenever you watch this, my jaw hit the floor.
Yep.
So my number 44. And we are getting our first duplicate of the rankings countdown, and it is from 2023, When Evil Lurks.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
It had to be in there. I think that movie it shocked me on many, and it could be some recency bias in there, but man, that was a good movie, a fun watch.
It stays with you.
Me out.
It just stays with you.
It stays with you. You think about it. So I really like that one. So, all right, Mike, your number, 44 and 43.
So number 44, we're doing a little Jordan Peele action and Get Out from 2017. This movie, it had a lot of hype with it. I remember going to the theater with the wife and watching it, and we both were very pleasantly surprised, and it was just creative and innovative and just something different, and I always appreciate that. So Get Out at number 44 for me.
That's the hypnotizing one, right?
The sunken place, yes.
Yeah.
And great cast in that as well. That really leads the movie. Coming in at number 43 for me, we're going to go back a little bit. And when I say back, I mean the 2013. And there's Eli Roth produced. He didn't direct, but he produced this movie. It's called The Sacrament. And this one is part movie, part found footage, but it's basically kind of like a mockumentary off of the Jim Jones Drink the Kool-Aid. So it's very ominous and creepy. And all these people are gonna die most likely at the it's out there, but I really enjoy the movie. I think it's a great movie. So The Sacrament comes in at number 43 for me.
And just shout out, me and him just met Eli Roth, so
yes,
probably boosts that a little bit. All right, so my number 43, and I assume this one will be repeated too, but I think a little bit later on for somebody else on the pod here, but my number 43 is from 2019, so it's probably going to be Mike, and it's Ready or Not. I just think Ready or Not is an incredibly fun concept, everything. That movie I could flip on and watch at any time and make it through from beginning to end. It's just a joy to watch. And there's not a lot of horror movies in it. You got to get through some of the beginning garbage. It gets into it.
Ready or Not is badass, and it's got Samara Weaving in it, who we love some Samara Weaving.
But that is my number 43. That flips it back over to you, Jay, and let's see what you got for 43 and 42.
So basically for 43, I'm going to say fuck you both, because I went way into the future on this bad boy. I went all the way to 2016.
So that's in the past.
Well, I'm saying compared to 1983. Because you guys were making fun of me. But 2016, we're going to go with Hatchet. This is a fun one. And there's a lot of sequels off of this that were a lot of fun too. But, Adam Green really, dug into this one. We have Kane Hodder playing, Hatchet, Victor Crowley. Some of the best deaths you'll ever see in a movie come out of or in any movie come out of this. It's a lot of fun. You just see everything. It's great.
What podcast was that? 100 and something. We reviewed it like
106 or 107,
somewhere in there.
It was way after that because I was on it. We did. It was like the first 2 or 3 that I did with you. Guys.
So it's probably.
Oh, that's right. It's very true.
Yep. I don't know if you want to listen to our Hatchet episode. Go back in the archives. It's in there. So
I can get it. Hold on. Oh, I can get it. Maybe not. Go ahead.
And ironically, this next one is another podcast that we did.
Season 3, episode 7.
With Kirk. And this time we're going to go back to 1987 with Prince of Darkness. Yes. So Prince of Darkness hits here at number 42 for me. Mike's shaking his head right now because he was not a fan of that movie, but that's okay. This is John Carpenter. There's going to be I'm sure we're going to have lots of John Carpenter sprinkled all throughout. This is my second Carpenter already because I had The Fog, at number 48. But Prince of Darkness, you got a little Alice Cooper in there. You do have some Donald Pleasance as well, but this is a fun one. It takes you really into the realm of, the devil. So, that was my 42.
Yeah. I was just looking, I don't have any John Carpenters yet. So that's, I'm sure will change.
Dun, dun, dun.
Not at number 42 is John Carpenter, but my number 42 is from 2017. Aren't you so impressed, Mike?
I like this. I feel like this is where we all should be. So
it's 2017 and it's Death Note. It was a Netflix original. I know it's a cartoon adaptation that everybody says there's so many differences between it. I never watched the anime, so I don't have the comparison. I just saw what I watched and I really liked it. Willem Dafoe as the Death Demon. I just thought everything was great. So it's a fun movie to watch.
So I guess I get 42, and then I get to round us here on the way home. So we're in a bizarro world now because you guys are in the 2010s, and I'm about to go to 1980 here. And coming in at number 42, Friday the 13th, Part 1, comes in for me. Obviously, it's a classic. It's not the beginning. I mean, it's the beginning of Jason Voorhees, but not really the beginning of, it's more a Pamela Voorhees movie. But it's campy. It's great. But it is down my list. I'm sure it'll come up again on other lists. But for me, just like you guys are probably throwing your 2017s out there, 1980. I'm bringing my number down. And while we're at it, let's just stay in the 80s, guys. For number 41, a movie that we did podcast already, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors comes in at number 41. It is, between that and the original Nightmare, I feel like it's a toss-up on any day of the week. They're both just freaking fantastic movies, but I love Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. I want to say it was episode 12 that we did. So I think it's season 1, episode 12, I believe. I could be wrong, but
it sure is.
Yep. So, but that's from 1987. So, back-to-back 80s movies to round me out. You're welcome.
Yeah, it's crazy because I have back-to-back 2017 movies. So I'm in the 2017s again. So 2017 was a good year for my number 41, and it is the remake of It. So the Stephen King remake. I thought the first one was fantastic.
Yeah, you're saying chapter 1. It chapter 1.
Chapter
right?
1.
Yep.
Chapter 2. I'm gonna cheat right now. It is not on this list.
You don't like the big brawny Axeman coming to life?
There is a lot I don't like about that movie, so it is not going to be on here. But It Chapter 1, I thought was scary. I thought it was good. Skarsgård was amazing as Pennywise. So It Chapter 1 from 2017.
Well, I guess I'll finish this off here, and I'm going to stay in the 80s on my back-to-back here. From 1982, here's one that I will be putting on the wheel at some point. Mike, you and I have talked about this before because we're trying to figure out how to do it. But Creepshow. Yes. So Creepshow from 1982. It's got a lot of different tales and stories. It's a Stephen King, George Romero adaptation. They did a lot of stories with this. A lot of great big time actors and actresses in this movie. But this is a classic of all classics. Every single story that they bring to you, even when you get to Creepshow 2, which I'll tell you right now, shocker, not in the top 50. But
I love.
It's
still good.
I love.
But it's still good.
Creepshow
2 is great, but it's not as good as Creepshow.
The thing in the lake, where the kids are like, that stays with me.
The Raft. That one was called The Raft.
I love that one.
There's so many of them that stay with you between 1 and 2, and I get them mixed up 1 and 2, so I don't remember which ones. Like the Indian.
That was part 2.
Yeah, there's just so many.
The Hitchhiker.
The Hitchhiker was
part 2. Yeah.
Those 3 were all part 2. Everything else is part 1. But part 1 is what we're talking about. So 1982 Creepshow, number 41 for me.
All right, so that wraps us all up. Just to recap, mine are Bram Stoker's Dracula, When Evil Lurks, Ready or Not, Death Note, and It. Mike is Joyride, Get Out, Sacrament, Friday the 13th, the first one, and Nightmare on Elm Street, the third one. And then Jason's American Psycho, Sleepaway Camp, Hatchet, Prince of Darkness, and Creepshow. So what this did to our years, I'll start with the newest, how would you even say this? The most recent
updated rankings?
The updated dates. So Mike is still the highest person, so I'll probably let him kick off next rankings as well.
I guess I'll always be kicking this thing off. It's really
maybe because right now I'm at 2006, so I'm only 1 year behind you. So we are really, really close. And Jason, you did all that and it stayed exactly the same place. You're 1993. Nothing changed with what you did. You pick one 2000s movie that keeps you picked 2, Hatchet and American Psycho, which balanced out your Creepshow and the Sleepaway Camp. So you're at 1993.
Wow.
I got a feeling that's not going to stay there. Mike's at 2007. I got a feeling that's not going to stay there. And I'm at 2006. I got a feeling I'm going to drop a little bit, but that's where I think I'm going to be.
I like it. Well, as with everything, let us know your thoughts of what you think and who's got the best list so far. We do got to put these out there though, so that people can see them, because I don't think anybody's gonna remember this. So we gotta figure that out here soon. But now it is time to turn our attention to a little Mandy.
And now on with the show.
All right. So, as previously discussed, Kirk just keeps on a winning. Well, at least
back to back,
2 in a row. Yes, back to back. And we went to 2018 for this little jaunt of Nicolas Cage doing his best Nicolas Cage in Mandy. But before we can get into everything, there's something we need. Oh, that's what it is.
30 seconds. 30.
We need a synopsis, Kirk, because we can't really talk about a movie if we don't know what happens in it.
I don't know if they know what happens in this, but
I don't.
You just tell me when my time is up. My next word.
The next word.
Next words out of your mouth.
All right. First off, you need to take a whole bunch of LSD. Then you have our two main characters, Mandy and Nicolas Cage. Don't remember his name. They're in love. They're cuddling. They're saying weird planet questions. Then a cult comes in, sees Mandy, wants to have him, but he's got some demon bikers who goes and gets him. They kill her. Freaking Nicolas Cage goes Nicolas Cage on everybody in this fucking movie and kills everybody in the most bizarre, crazy way. And then you take some more acid just to make sure you have enough in your system to finish out this movie.
All right,
Chaos
28
ensues.
seconds.
Chaos ensues. like I'm trying to fill the time here. Like, it's a very, very simplistic story.
I was not very simplistic, but very simplistic. I'm kidding.
I mean, it's something. To be honest with you, I think you did a pretty good job. This movie's kind of batshit crazy.
I mean, you said one thing right. I think we should have all taken LSD to watch this.
Yeah. Yes.
But your screen,
100%.
Kirk, says LCD much, so I'm not really sure if you're just buying TVs or...
No. Yeah. You had to watch it on the LCD TV. Or maybe I'm on LSD right now. I can't freaking type.
I have no clue. But you know what it's time for, guys.
Behind the Scream.
All right, so we have Mandy in 2018 is an action horror film directed by Panos Cosmatos, produced by Elijah Wood and co-written by Cosmatos and Aaron Stewart based on a story Cosmatos conceived, a co-production of the United States and Belgium. The film stars Nicolas Cage, Andrea Riseborough, Linus Roach, Ned Denny, and a bunch of other people. It premiered at the 2018 Sundance Film Festival on January 19th and was theatrically released on September 14th, 2018 by Rigi Films. Mandy was praised for its style and originality, Cage's performance, Cosmatos' direction, and the action sequences. It is one of the last films scored by Icelandic composer Jóhann Jóhannsson, who died in February 2018. The film is dedicated to him. The budget for this movie was $6 million, and it brought in $1.5 million in the box office. On review, Rotten Tomatoes, 90% of the critics had given a film a positive review based on 248 of them, with an average rating of 7.6. IMDb also gave this movie a 6.5 rating. This movie has 13 deaths that ranged in numerous bloody Nicolas Cage ways.
Amen.
Interesting. I only wrote down 9 deaths, but I don't know what I'm missing. But
there was a lot of death. I kind of ran
Yeah,
out.
there was
some of them
13.
pretty quick.
Listen, if it says it's 13, I believe it's 13. I only wrote down 9 of them though. But
I went to the death count website or whatever. I had to find it, and I watched the video, and they showed all 13 of them.
I believe it. So
Yep.
here we
We got to do the fun facts.
I got to do my facts still.
Oh crap! See, this is still all new to me here.
That's all good. That's okay. So I still have my 3 facts to give. So fact number 1, Nicolas Cage was actually going through a divorce during the production of this movie. Like, his wife out of nowhere just said, "Hey, I don't want to be with you anymore." Maybe it was for this movie. I don't know. But during this, prior to the shooting, or prior to the shooting of the film, he put all his feelings into this performance. So there you go. The weapon forged by Red, which was Nicolas Cage's character, was inspired by legendary metal band Celtic Frost logo, which I had to use that one because of metal. And Mandy says they live near Crystal Lake, which was a homage to the Friday the 13th series.
I did catch that one. Where she said we live down the street.
There's actually a lot of homage in this movie to a lot of different things. That was just my favorite one.
Homage.
Yep.
Yes.
Homage.
And then
whatever. I got a couple other facts too. If we got a few seconds, I'll do them rapid fire. So first thing, you said something about Jóhannsson, who's the composer who died prior. It was actually dedicated to him. And he died of a lethal combination of cocaine and flu medication. So that probably added to the soundtrack as well, and also probably the art direction of this movie. But also the second one I have, director Panos Cosmatos. It's a hard name to say. His dad is George that George was famous for directing Rambo's 1 and 2, and he's most famous for directing Tombstone. So I read somewhere that the way that Panos was able to get funding was for his first movie. His first movie was Beyond the Black Rainbow, was through the residuals that he's still getting to this day from Tombstone. So that Beyond the Black Rainbow is like a prequel in the same universe type movie, and then led into Mandy. The movie is dedicated, was also Panos trying to deal with the death of his parents. That was the reason they made it. And the one fact that I had to put in here is the Cheddar Goblin, a macaroni vomiting mascot, appears in the commercial within the movie. It's a fictional product, clearly designed specifically for this film as a bizarre and dark comedic take on 1980s commercials and branding. And it also, the director says, is a fun, weird interlude in the midst of the movie's most intense moment. Oh, it just kind of the break up to two sections of the movie. So I thought that was interesting.
That wasn't quick.
I mean, that was like 7 minutes of
could.
facts that you decided to do.
There's a lot of interesting stuff with this movie.
I just wanted to know, the guy that OD'd on cocaine and flu medicine, does that go down as a death by flu, or is that death by overdose? I mean, I just wonder where that's
It was a lethal combination of the both, is what was in the toxicology report.
We'll call it FSD.
Yes.
Well, guys, I think it's time to start getting into the meat and potatoes of this. And here at the MVJ, we use a 1 to 10 rating system, with 1 being, the worst you can do in a category, and 10 being a masterpiece. And we go on 5 different acts here. So as we always start at Story Beats, Kirk, what is Story Beats for the listeners?
Yeah, Story Beats is everything you think it's going to be. It's going to be the story, the writing, the concept, the different acts, the things that happen in the movie. That's what we're rating right here. Just the story as a whole.
Well, it is your movie, Kirk, so you can start if you want to.
I definitely will. So this movie is 100% an LSD laced, literally and figuratively, 1980s revenge film with cults and demon bikers and Bill Duke chilling in a double wide or whatever the heck he was doing. Sometimes the movie is a little bit too artsy, and sometimes it's balls to the wall. The movie has some very long shots, some hold shots, some very stay on the scene type shots, which I think made the first half of the movie way, way too long. The length, and you feel it. It feels like the first hour is about a 2-hour movie. The second hour of the movie feels like it's about 20 minutes. So it balances itself out.
Just to jump in on that, I feel like, and this is broken up into like 3 different parts, like where they have like the last one's Mandy, which is where I think the movie actually becomes a movie. But yeah, that first hour is
hard.
It's hard. It's really hard to get through.
The thing is, though, like, I don't think the second half will be as good, the first walk through, without the setup of everything they put you through at the beginning. That being said, it's a slog to get through. They fully expected this, and watching it, you fully expect the horror fandom to be completely divided on this. There's not many middle opinions on this movie. Maybe Mike's a 6, I don't know. But it does everything. I would say technically this movie is brilliant. That being said, it's all about preference. It's a slow burn with a crazy ending, so it's going to be off preference.
But the problem with this movie is, I think there's a good story in there somewhere. It's what this movie felt like when you itch somewhere and you're trying to like scratch and you can't find it. That's what this feels like. And what I mean by that is the beginning part, like, okay, yeah, there's a love story in there somewhere, but they never really like hit it home. Like, it just doesn't work. And then you have this.
It doesn't have that feeling of spring. You don't feel the connection between the people. I don't need it to
be like the greatest love story, but I need it to do something. Like the bikers make no sense. These demonic bikers, but then they're not. They're human. And then you have the cult and the revenge. Like, like you have all these stories in there,
Yep.
and none of them truly land.
Like
as a
Children of the
story.
New World. What the hell? I mean, you take definitely. I mean, this movie was based in 1983, so I kind of see like the elements that they're trying to bring to it. But the whole fact, it was really bizarre to me. It was too simple. It you know, it had some fun at times. I'll give it that. But let's be real. Like every part was trying to do something different and try to bring it all together, and I don't think it worked. Like I think it just kind of left you like I said, you needed to take LSD to kind of understand where this was kind of going.
It would have been a lot more fun.
Well,
for sure. The thing is, like, I put a note in here saying,
upset. I mean, just I some of like the little things in here. So why wouldn't they just kill Nick Cage when they kill the
he stabbed him with that magical sword?
No.
whatever.
I'm saying when they kidnap his wife or girl or whoever she is, they're saying that they need more blood for like those guys. Like, why didn't they just kill Nick Cage and offer up the blood? Like, it makes no sense to keep him alive.
Well, the other thing that didn't make sense, Mike, you just said it. He got stabbed in the side with that big ass fucking jagged sword thing.
Right.
And he just got up and started walking around and doing his thing like as if nothing ever happened. There's so much of that happened throughout this movie
Richard
that
Brake,
just made no sense.
The Richard Brake where he's the chemist. And they go in there for like 5 minutes. He's got a tiger and he releases the tiger or lion or whatever. And he doesn't I don't know what the hell happens. Like he just leaves. Like I mean,
he tells him where to go.
Right, but why didn't he?
So Richard Brake is the guy that's making the LSD that those demon biker people and everybody else is so addicted to. And the reason they left him for life is Jeremiah, who is the leader of the cult, thought nothing could touch him. He says it over and over. So he just did what he wanted, and he felt like he did enough, and he left. He was sloppy. So no, listen. This is a movie I completely expect division on. There are people that really like it, and there's people that just hate this movie. So I get it. So I love I've got the Richard Brake autograph on that chemist picture right over here. Like I think that part's
so
great.
Kirk. Let's rate story beats here, and you get to kick us off. So where do you have this?
Yeah, like I said, the first part of the movie is a slog to get through. The hour feels like 2 hours. The second half, the hour feels like 20, 30 minutes. I like the second half better. I think you need the first half, even though it is tough to get through. I gave it a 6 out of 10.
All right. Jason, I'll come to you next here.
Okay. This was tough for me. It was a tough watch. I think that,
our scores are going to be so different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I gave it a 3. I'm not going to lie. It was all over the place.
Why
for
would
me.
You lie?
I didn't get it.
Why would you lie about your score?
Right. But Nick Cage, once again, in another cash cow that I think had like 4 lines in this one, which consisted of "Okay, baby, yes, baby," and I didn't get it.
He actually did not have a ton of words. But I'm with one of you guys on this one, and Kirk, it is not you. Jay, I'm with you. I gave it a 3. Now I'm not saying like I didn't enjoy, a lot of parts of this movie, but when I look at like the story like literally does not make sense almost at every turn. But I do like a revenge plot. Like I get that, and
it's cult. You love the cults.
I love cults, and I love like the third act of this is great. So like it ends on the high note, and it's better than we do a lot of movies where they start on a high note and then it's monotonous throughout. At least there's a payoff if you can get through the first hour on this one. So
hey, I'm with you guys at a 3 if we watched the first hour and stopped. It's a 3. Right there's a 3.
Yeah, there's
it's not
1.
a 2.
That's a 1.
I can't even argue. It's on the negative side of 5. 5 is average movie. It is definitely on the negative side of 5. That first half of the movie.
So, go ahead, Jay. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say it's on the negative side of like the only reason why I gave it a 3 was for the third act.
I'm
3 for 3.
close. So act number 2 that we like to review here is what we call the arc, and the arc stands for acting, relatability, and character development. So basically, all things character and people in this. So I'll kick us off here on this one, and I mean, I don't know if there could be too much relatability. I'll be curious if any of you guys, relate it to anybody at any given time. But I will go to like that. I don't think there's a lot of character development because there's really not. I mean, we just join this in process, if you will.
You completely missed it. If you missed the character development, you completely weren't watching.
What character development?
What like him?
A recovering alcoholic that loved starting his life over from being in wars, or a killer combat guy that has settled down in the middle
we
of
didn't
nowhere
see
with
any of that.
Artistic. You do see it all. It's
No.
all explained to you. It's all in there. It's all
I don't want to
there.
hear about it. Show me.
They didn't tell you. They showed you.
Maybe it was in the pink clouds at some point.
There was a lot of distracting pink clouds.
Maybe that's what got me. I will say this though, from an acting standpoint, I like batshit crazy Nicolas Cage, and I think this is a movie that where it works, it's because Nicolas Cage is Nicolas Caging, and he's so good at it. Like if this was somebody else, or if this was take a Brad Pitt, anybody, like I wouldn't believe it. But Nicolas Cage going fucking crazy, I believe that 100 times out of 100, and I thought he killed it. In this, and I actually.
And all of them.
I like, well, he did. Yeah, everybody. I also liked Jeremiah a little bit, minus when he got naked, but like, I think he plays a good,
Minus
like,
Roach.
That was Kirk's favorite part.
Self-absorbed cult leader. I think he did a good job with that on those.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. This was tough again. Like, I personally, I thought the character development was crap. There's no relatability in this whatsoever. It was just all over the place. I like I said, Nick Cage.
Pretty sure you guys were watching your phones, not watching the movie. It was all in there.
Sure.
No, I watched it. Believe it or not, I'm not gonna lie when I
It was
tell you
all
this.
in there.
I watched it twice, just so that way I did not miss something, because that's how fucking confused I was the first time I watched it.
You should have started from the middle the second time. You'd have been happy.
I should have just watched the end. But Nicolas Cage, I did like how he went full Nicolas Cage, but it was just, it was kind of like Willy's Wonderland, with him not talking and stuff like that, which it worked in Willy's, and Willy's was great. This one, it just did not work much, because you had like all these characters that they could have done so much more with, especially like the children of the New World. Like, what the fuck? I mean, the only reason why I knew that the Jeremiah used to be, he was a failed folk singer. Right. And I only knew that because I had to watch it twice and read about it. But you don't know anything about any of these other people, and you don't really, it's all over the place.
Yeah, they show you, they don't tell you. So I got a feeling our score is going to be crazy again. So Nick Cage was brilliant in this. Like when he's in his underwear and his tiger screaming and yelling, like
that was a great scene.
Brilliant in that.
That was a great
scene
in the bathroom.
I think so. The first half of the movie, everything is centered around Mandy. You watch it, she's in the center of every shot, and Nicolas Cage's character is offset. It's purposely done. The second half is centered in on Nicolas Cage and his psychopathic LSD drug-induced rant, and I think he was excellent from halfway on. He's kind of sidetracked the beginning of the movie. It's more about Mandy and a little bit about the cult people like Jeremiah. I thought Jeremiah, Linus Roach, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Even the nude scene was so good. No, just kidding. But I thought he was amazing. I thought Mandy, the girl, she was a stick. She's a wooden stick until right before they killed her. So she didn't really bring.
Well, she burned like a stick.
Like a sleeping bag. That I think Jason Voorhees stole that, right? In 2009. So they stole it from Jason Voorhees. So I just
It was in it was in one before that.
It was
2009.
in part 7.
Yeah.
In
was it
1988.
so way
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
So the relatability, I did put something down here because it came off of the director's loss of his parents, and it's about dealing with loss. That's a reach. I agree. But the character development of Nicolas Cage's character coming from previous war, alcoholic, it just was so well done, but it's so minimal in the way they did it that most people are missing it, and they're missing the point of the movie.
I want to know, how did the
100%.
director, if he's coping with loss, like, did he lose his parents in like a house fire? Did he lose
He also wanted
them
to make a
in
horror
a
movie.
satanic cult? Like, I'm curious of
I'm sure it's
how
something simple.
he lost them.
Maybe he was burned by folk singers. I don't know.
I have no. Yeah, did the Mamas and Papas destroy him, or who sang Puff the Magic Dragon? Who's that?
Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Yeah, those are the folk singers right there. But anyway, all right. So let's rate this. Jason, you get to kick us off with your score.
Yeah.
Here. What do you got?
I gave it a 2. It just
Worse than the story.
Yeah, I told you this was awful. It was all over the place. It didn't make sense to me. I didn't like the characters. I didn't care who died. I was hoping Nicolas Cage was going to die. So
I wasn't. I mean, after the third, the act, like, how can you not be like on the Nicolas Cage bandwagon with this? But so I
shouldn't even been there.
I'm well. How many times in a horror movie should somebody have died and that they somehow live? Like, that's just a trope. I'm not going to blame anybody for that. But for me here, I'm a 5. So I know I trashed on it a little bit, but Nicolas Cage is brilliant. I think Jeremiah is very good. I think there's enough development in there. Like, they give you enough backstory that, like, that it makes sense. The backstory that they try to give in the development of, like, the bikers is where I lose it. There's just a lot lost in this, but I'm still 5. I think it's average. And it's because Nicolas Cage is so way above average on this. I think he crushes it, and I have a hard time going lower than that. So, Kirk, where are you finish?
Yeah, I think this is one of Nicolas Cage's best works. Like, I think he is better than this than almost anything else. And he says, like you said, like 10 words total, and it's like grunts and whatever.
Baby.
I think the acting on this was brilliant. I'm at a 9. I am complete opposite of you. Well, of you, Jason. A little bit better than you, Mike. I think the acting in this was spot on. It was brilliant. Now, you might not like the direction the story went. I think you're still hitting story beats in our arc, because I think both of you are missing a lot of things. But the acting, the character development in this movie is brilliant.
You know what? I got one thing I want you to start doing. You know how you're doing like the average scores or whatever for the rankings? I want to know what your average scores are for your movie with your rankings.
I have that.
Because
I have it. I have everything.
Okay.
But Jay, it's the same for you with yours. So you gotta
no,
understand.
I rate mine. I rate mine low. I've rated
Jason,
a lot of mine low.
Jason, you knock on all of my movies, and you kind of knock on Mike's, and you overscore yours. Like Phenomena, you gave it an acting score of like a 7.
Yeah, that was
compared to this movie.
I think
so
you were above average on it, but it was bad.
You were way above
5.
average on Phenomena, which was dog shit bad. This acting in this was him in 1,000 scenes with Nicolas Cage in this movie were brilliant. I think it was awesome.
I gave acting a 2 for Phenomena.
Yes,
he
did actually give acting a 2 on Phenomena.
So,
it was a 2.
So,
all right, you got one right.
Kirk,
so you think the acting is on par with this movie,
Kirk,
Phenomena, compared to Mandy?
Yeah,
you're saying they're the same.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll disagree, but we can all choose that one movie here or there.
That's the point.
But
sure.
Let's go into the next category, which this will be the interesting one that I'm curious on, everybody, is visual appeal. And Kirk, walk us through what visual appeal is.
Visual appeal is going to be your effects, your visuals, your cinematography, the gore, just the computer graphics, the practical effects, just anything you see and how you like it or don't like it.
I like it. I like it.
I think
I'll
Jason's
I'll start
chomping
here.
at the bit on this one.
I want to start out this one. So this is where things change a little bit for me, okay? So this is where things change. This is actually one of my highest scores.
It's a 1980s music video for 2.5 hours. It should change for you.
But on a serious note, though, I thought, like, when you look at the visuals in this movie, I thought the visuals, like, being on that LSD, like that, what they're trying to do with it, with all the colors and all the different shapes and shifting and how they just move around and stuff, I thought that was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. It was absolutely hands down the best part of this movie. You know, the cinematography I thought was brilliant. You had like the double lens. You had like the animation in it, the telephoto shots I thought were really spot on. The psychedelic lighting, it worked, and you had a lot of gore. Just kind of poured in on a lot of that. This to me is where this movie was foundation, if it makes sense.
Yeah, I think this I think this is what it had to be for what they were going for. And honestly, this actually made me look up the director afterwards to be like, all right, what else has he done or whatever? Because like it's beautiful of how they do it at times. Now listen, if you have epilepsy, never watch this movie. But
please do not.
But
they need a warning.
Let me give you one example that I loved though, even though, and I keep calling them the monsters, but the bikers that are they flash the lights and you can hardly you can make out and you can see what they are, but you can't fully see it. And it literally, your brain, closes the gap of what you think you see. And it makes it so much better and violent and scary and like shadowy. And it was just little effects like that throughout, I thought were just extremely impressive with this.
Yeah. So I put down here, the visual appeal of this movie was the entire point of this movie. It is a visual movies. It is overspilling the top with 80s references. There's album covers. He's trying to recreate album covers throughout the movie where that lion was roaring behind the three suns and the second. It just was insane, insanity. It was crazy filters, lights, backlit red lights. That scene that Mike's talking about when they first come in, they grab Mandy. They're walking up and there's this electricity type sparking happening, and you see the demon bikers kind of walking closer and closer. Then you see the fat cult guy because they traded his life for their help. He kind of just fades into the back as they pull him out of there. And it's all very demon-esque, even though we find out they're not demons. They're just LSD laced bikers in a weird way. But this is a very artsy, very stylized, a lot of comedy and gore. It is just over the top. And I put in here, I was like, I think this is what 1980s audiences thought they were getting with Dario Argento movies.
Well, I
think that's what they thought they were getting.
I think they thought this is what the future was going to look like. But I mean,
flying cars and
on LSD.
But I will tell you, they sneak in animation. They sneak in a little bit of claymation. There's probably some other Asians that they snuck in, but there's a little bit of everything. But just the color play and the fluorescent and lights. I was blown away by it. I think it's
they did exactly what they were trying to do, and they made it look amazing. And would you say the budget was $6 million, something like that?
Yeah, it was $6 million. Yep.
I think they hid a $6 million budget in 2018. They were able to get around that and hide a lot of shortcomings with their budget through lighting and filters and all that stuff.
So I'll go first here on scoring it. So I gave this a 9 in this category. I'm very high on it. This movie this is where it shines. This is where it's brilliant. This is where, now it's a little off the wall, but I mean, it's an art house type film, and I'm not gonna hate it for that. I'm not gonna hate it for does the story make sense of the lighting and all that? That has no bearing here for me. It's just, if I look at the screen, am I captivated? And I was captivated for the majority of this. I think this is pretty amazing. So Kirk, I think it comes to you next. I'm not positive. So
Yeah. No, so obviously I'm a fan of the movie. And I think the point of this movie is the visuals that you're seeing and what they're feeding you. And if you've never taken LSD, and I've never taken LSD, but if you've never taken LSD, you're not a druggie. If you want to know what it feels like, watch this movie for 2 hours. You're going to slowly drift into madness, and it's all through the visual appeal of this movie. I gave it a 10 out of 10. I thought it was spot on, perfect. Now, I understand why it divides, because if you have epilepsy, don't watch this, like Mike said. But if you don't like those art house type, what Dario Argento is going for with 1980s technology, this is not for you.
Yeah,
I like it though.
no, I'm gonna kind of piggyback and say one of you is going to be a double with my score, and it was Mike. I actually gave this a 9.
Yeah, it's not me.
I almost gave this a 10.
Yeah,
I almost gave this a 10. I mean, honestly, this is a 9++. Like, it's like up there. Like, you guys both said it right. I mean,
give me the Bob Ross score. It's a happy 9.
It's a happy 9. It's a very happy 9. I mean, it's just this whole movie. Like, you know I put down a lot on the acting. I put down a lot on the story. There wasn't much to both of those, but everything you get from the visuals and the cinematography, I thought that's where the movie comes out. You know, we talk about art house, it was kind of like, Midsommar that we talked about way back in the day. There's a lot more of the visuals and things like that came out, although I did like Midsommar a lot more, but, the visuals in this are just stunning, and I've never done LSD either, and I don't have to. So thank you for Mandy for putting that experience.
You don't need to anymore. And Midsommar was very good, but it was definitely a less powerful drug in Midsommar.
Oh, for sure.
Midsommar.
Whatever.
Somar.
You know what I meant.
We're not calling this candy. Hey, let's talk about candy, dandy. Flandy. No,
I mean, Harry Astor screwed up summer. It's not our fault.
There's a Midsommar. Category 4 that we like to dive into is all about sound design. In sound design, we're talking about the audio dubbing, the soundtrack, the production, the score, like all of that is here together in sound design. What did we think of sound design, guys?
Yeah, I'll start with this. So I thought help me here, Jason.
Johan
Johansson matched up the visuals to the sounds. I thought they played off each other beautifully. I thought the sound effects were great. That sparking sound when those demon thingies were coming in were great. The problem I had with this movie with the sound design was it was near impossible to follow any conversation. It was so trippy and echoey and low and deep in bass that if you don't have closed caption on, you're going to have a hard time following this movie. And for someone like me, I always have closed caption on. So the first time or two I saw this movie, I didn't, and I missed like 90% of what they said. So it's very hard to hear what people are saying and the messages they're trying to convey. That being said, I think the score of this, the sound mixing was brilliant. What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you. I thought the sound mixing in this matched up perfectly. I think the sound effects and everything that they had come in at this different times, it kind of kept you entertained. The visuals always brought the sound together, like what you said. I kind of agree too. I think this is why I watched it twice, just because I think I was missing so much because I was trying to listen to both. And it was very hard, especially with the children of the New World. It was very hard to understand a lot of what they were saying or doing, because that's where a lot of that music was kind of like really coming in. But I thought the main score for this was really good.
So I had problems with this. And obviously like the regular dubbing and everything, it's great. I mean, it's a 2018 movie, right? It's not going to be, old and bad. Here's the problem I have with it. You tout this, like the beginning scene is like something about rock and roll and this and that. And like, the score is not rock and roll until you get late into the third act. Like when you get like when they're dealing with the chainsaws, because apparently everybody gets a chainsaw at the end. There was Oprah with the chainsaws, right? You get a chainsaw and you get a chainsaw. But like then the rock score comes in, and I think they missed the mark on this of not having. They almost had that Lovecraftian feel to it throughout, but like they wanted it to be this rocker. They have Metallica shirts and Black Sabbath shirts, and they're talking about rock and roll, and then you literally don't have rock and roll in this movie, like, or heavy metal. Makes no sense. And
the only I agree with you. The only thing that I think is the reason is because the death of the Johan Johannesson, the composer, and if they would have started stripping away some of his music and adding Iron Maiden and all these different rock bands, especially when you dedicate the movie to them, I think they kind of stuck themselves. Not that it was bad, but I agree with 100%. They set up this rock theme, even with some of the visuals. They set up rock theme, and they didn't
but like that, like if they're like, I think of a Jason. Right, where Jason is 80s rock. You're talking about this is 80s movie. If you had like that hard rock 80s, maybe it's one band throughout. You don't have to do a different score, but you have somebody score this from that, and you have somebody like Jason watching this now. Like that takes it into a different stratosphere for him of the experience of like, I'm paying a little bit more attention. Or when the obviously we all scored it very high on the visual appeal anyway, but that adds to like that aura and the ominous effect of it. But when you take that away and you just put in this weird, like, you know, whatever music throughout, like based off of this, it knocked it down for me. And once again, that's just me here. It's just, I couldn't figure out why there's no rock and roll. And then you add it at the end. I don't know. So,
yeah.
All right. Well,
I didn't hurt it too much. I get your point on it. It didn't really hurt it because I thought the score that Johannes, I want to say this guy's name 10 more times. I thought the score he put together was brilliant, but I agree with what you're saying. They missed the ball, which they could have got some rock in there and different hard rock beats. I thought it would work very well.
They could have used Celtic Frost, since they used the logo with the axe.
I mean, but that would have been something like I said. They could have taken an obscure one. They could have made up their own music for this. I don't know. It just
I would have liked that almost better.
I was waiting for it, and it just never happened. And then, well, it does. Like I said, at the very end of the movie, but then it's kind of like, I didn't care anymore. Like you already put me through the war. So,
but. And instead of talking about what it didn't have, what do you think of what it did have?
But that's the problem. I don't think it had that much at all when it comes to like sound design and score. I think like it had this ominous music throughout. I think, like I said, the dubbing was fine, but the score was not great at all for this movie.
I thought the score was amazing.
I thought the score worked for what we had. I mean, like that. There wasn't anything like that was too crazy with it. I mean, it was, but it wasn't simplistic. I mean, I think it was something that kind of really worked with like the chemistry that you were getting with the movie.
Yep, I agree, 100%. I think you missed on that one, Mike. But would you score it?
I mean, I don't think like it's a subjective, thing. So
all these things are subjective.
I'm a 4 here. I'm slightly below average. Like I said, if it would have had the rock score, I'd probably be a 6 or a 7 because then it makes sense and there's nothing wrong. But like, I think it was average. Everything else was average, in my opinion. It's all average. Like nothing stood out to me except for what it was missing. And I only took off 1 for that. So I think I'm fair there. I come in at a 4.
Jay, what do you got?
Yeah, so you know what? I agree with Mike with the rock part. But I would have boosted my score. The rock part would have
been cool.
That would have boosted my. I gave it a 6, but that would have boosted it probably to like a 7 or an 8 if they had that in there. But I was still a 6 on this. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I agreed with Kirk. You kind of had to like I never do subtitles if I don't have to, but this is one I probably should have.
Yep. Yeah. So for me, your thought process of the rock bands and the rock, I think you're 100% right. 100% right. That being said, I'm trying to score it off of it. Like I thought the score was beautiful. I thought the sound effects were increased the sensitivity of the visuals and the craziness with it. I am with one of you, and I think we always do this, don't we? And I tried to get you both the score before. So I'm with one of you, and I think it's going to surprise you who I'm with. If I can't hear a movie it hurts it and you have to repeat it. I'm at a 4 as well.
What?
The repeat viewing you have to do because you can't understand what the hell. So when I kind of busted your guys' balls about the character development and the story beats and all that, first time I watched this movie, I missed 100% of that. I missed it all. It's not until I've watched it several times with the closed caption that I'm picking up on those things now. And like I said, it's a slog to get through. So there's so much stuff I missed the first few times I watched it. I think it was a bigger deal than as much as I loved the score for.
Interesting.
And if it would have been a rock score, I'd probably have been about a 5. Like it probably would have gave another point or something like that.
So that takes us to our 5th and final act, which is Carnage. And Jason, tell us about Carnage.
So Carnage is our fun one here, obviously with having some fun with this. We talk about, the kills. We already talked about that earlier, but we'll talk a little bit more about that now. And obviously, what was the mayhem like in this movie, And, I think we'll kick this one off with Mike. I think this is your kickoff here.
I mean, I can't. So when we talk about fun, I think the second half is very fun. The first half is they were anti-fun. There was an anti-fun person in there. They were like, anything we can do to not make this movie fun. That's what they were doing. They were policing it. I do think, though, once you get in, and it's really the final 40 minutes of this movie, that's where all the murder really happens, minus, Mandy. But they have some pretty cool murders in here, and
you see some of it.
And you do.
There's so many movies you don't see stuff.
You do,
and
but on top of that, it kind of goes with the arc here of Nicolas Cage being Nicolas Cage, going fucking crazy and killing people. I will say, I was a little upset. You have these big monster biker dudes, and he disposes of them quickly and easy.
Done.
And I think they should have spaced that out a little bit through the movie versus literally he goes crazy and he kills 12 people, or I guess 13. Well, yeah, everybody but Mandy, right? So he kills 12 people in 35 minutes. Where the movie's 2 hours and 15 minutes long or something. You know what I mean? So
2 hours and 1 minute. Yeah.
2 hours and 1 minute. So it's if you could have spaced it out over the last 90 minutes of it, I think it would have been better pacing and helped me with the mayhem part of this. But I will say, you ever want the mayhem of all mayhem, watch the last 40 fucking minutes of this movie and you'll think this is one of the greatest horror movies maybe of all time. You'll be like, I what else could be? And then you sit through the other hour and 20 minutes and you're like, oh, okay, maybe not.
Yeah, give me that back. Yeah. And I want to add this in there real quick too. I agree with Mike from top to bottom, but I have to talk about this scene because this one scene, I don't know why, but both times I watched it, it gave me goosebumps. It was just so freaky. So the very end, right. Yes, I did. The very end, because this one deserved it. The very end, when Nicolas Cage is driving away, and Mandy, the ghost of Mandy, is sitting in the chair next to him, and he's got the blood all poured all over his face.
Just smiling,
and he just turns his face, and he's got this smile with those pearly whites. It is freaky as fuck, and I'm just like, this is classic right here. Yep. And I was just like, oh, here we go. But yes, the mayhem. This movie, you get past that first hour, and I mean, it's nonstop from there, and you do pick that up, and then it kind of bores down again with the whole chemist part, but then it picks up again. So it's just kind of it had its fun in there. 13 kills, like we talked about. So
yeah. So the way I score Carnage, and I'm not going to give my score yet. I do it off of the parts of the movie that the director and writer want to be Carnage, right? So the first half of the story clearly was setting up, was stylistic, was slow burns. I throw all that away when it comes to this section, and I do it from basically when she laughs at the cult leader or whatever, the burning her alive, stabbing him in the side, and forward. It is carnage throughout. It is kills throughout. Mike is kind of right. He kind of burns through these guys pretty quickly, but I think it's all fun kills. There's nothing that let down. The goofy guy took the axe thing in the head. Even that was still pretty freaking cool. This is a lot of fun. There's a ton of mayhem. You see a ton of kills. There's some behind the scenes where like he throws that old lady's head. Is that the lady from
Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Texas
the new
Chainsaw
one.
Massacre?
Yeah, she was the
new
Sally
one. That's the same
Hardesty.
lady, right?
Yeah, she
yeah,
was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
she was.
And that kind of hurt me a little bit because I kept
it
seeing.
bugged me too.
It bugged me a little bit, but I thought she acted fine in that. But
Yeah, she's fine.
the mayhem of this movie is this movie, right? The whole, and it does take about an hour to get into the mayhem. But I if you're wanting to pick this movie up, I think it's right when they kidnap Mandy is a good part because you need a little bit of setup, and then it's freaking balls to the walls from there. I just think it's a craziness. I think it's great.
Yeah. All right, let's rate it.
Well, Jason, this one comes to you first.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. So I gave it a 6. Even though the first like half of this movie was kind of like just, a pauser, it really picked up. And since this is Carnage, there was a shit ton of carnage and a shit ton of kills. So it deserves a shit high of a point. So 6 points for me.
That's just slightly above average.
Yeah, I don't think it's a shit high, but it's high.
It just went with the.
I
think you're still punishing the movie for the story.
I was slightly higher. I'm a 7 here, so I think it's fair. Like I said, the carnage happens in a select part of this movie. So like that part, I mean, if that was the whole movie, it's a 10 out of 10. But if it's a select part of the movie, so I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Yep.
I boo-booed. I was looking at sound design. It was a 7. I'm sorry.
Listen,
I'm sorry.
I'm only writing.
I was looking at sound design. I was on the wrong page.
No, that's fine.
So no, for my scoring, like I said, I score it on the parts that the director or writer or the movie wants the carnage to be part of, right? So there's setup in all movies, and I score that in the story, right? So I'm a 9 out of 10 of this. I think it hits hard once it gets going, and it goes. So I don't know what more you'd want in the second half of the movie to get a perfect 10 out of 10 out of Carnage. There was some downtime, and there is the beginning part of the movie. You can't ignore that. It is a slog to get through. I think it's a necessary slog, but it is a tough one.
So as we always do at this time, we have the chance to give up to 10 bonus points for something that may not have been mentioned or whatever it might be. I will let you guys discuss it while I try to do some simple math and add up our scores here.
Let's hear what you got there, Jason.
All right. I did actually do a bonus this time. I gave it -2. And it wasn't for anything that we talked about, but I am very, very disappointed that we are watching a movie like what we watched, and there was no In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida played throughout this entire movie. Like, that would have been the perfect song to play during this movie at any point, and they didn't do it, so I subtracted 2 points for that.
Kirk, what do you got?
All right. I just did an edit to mine here. So first I put the Cheddar Goblin. I love that scene. I think it's corny. I think it's great. I think it's a good starting point for every casual fan. But Jason just totally changed my mind with his. I didn't take a complete -2. I went to 0 bonus points from a +2 because they didn't put In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida in there. I think you made a brilliant point. That is definitely missing in this movie, 100%. So I went back to a 0. So Cheddar Goblin, I'm sorry you don't get your +2.
So as I do in most times on bonus, unless something just brings me to it, I'm not taking anything away either. Yep. So I'm even.
In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida is almost worth a -2.
I listen.
It should have been in this.
Yeah,
LSD.
But you would have had to have once again rock and roll music in there, and they chose not to. So
I would have even played it during the scene when they had that like 20-foot wasp that stung her. So I don't even know.
That was great.
That was a weird thing.
Tripped her out.
All right, so
it's supposed to be weird.
We're not all over the place, but we'll start at the highest.
Sure, I'm pretty different than you guys.
No, we'll start at the lowest. Jason comes in. He scored this originally a 27 out of 50, but with the -2 makes it 25 out of 50, which equals a 5.0 on the scale.
I feel like that those 0.2 that I feel like that 2 score was on purpose.
I am a little bit higher, so I scored this 28 out of 50, which ends up being a 5.6. And then Kirk is a 38 out of 50. And apparently we have just watched one of his top 50 movies of all time. Kirk comes in at a 7.6 on this puppy.
Man, that's the Richter scale right there.
So
yeah, for sure. And the thing is, the fandom, I said it pretty early on, is extremely divided on this movie. There's not a lot of 5.0s and 5.6s. Most people are a 2 or a 10. And that's what I went through and looked at all these reviews too. And everybody was like, this is the worst movie ever. This is the greatest thing ever. And I'm like, well, somewhere a little bit different than that. I just thought the visuals are brilliant. The acting was brilliant. I just love, and the carnage too. So,
well, I could definitely guarantee you that this did not make my top 50.
I
I didn't think it did.
Listen,
but it might make my top 150.
Are we doing that? So all right. So
Maybe
that
next
is
year, maybe 20.
that is where we land: a 5, a 5.6, and a 7.6. So that is Mandy, guys. So sorry, Mandy, but well, I mean you're bones and dirt at this point. Which, by the way, you cannot burn a human body to ashes by just a bonfire. By the way, that's completely. I learned that in Making a Murderer on.
I was going to say, if Stephen Avery taught us anything, you need a burn bin.
You need a burn bin. I know this now. So
Yes.
thank you, Making a Murderer, and he's innocent.
Yeah.
So all right, we are
Yeah,
going
definitely
to
guilty.
turn our
Definitely
attention
innocent.
to next week and take a ride on the
Devil's Wheel.
All right, for our A Devil's Wheel portion of events, we have 10 slots on a wheel. Well, actually, we have 11 slots on the wheel now. But what we each do is we take 3 movies. 2 can be anything. 1 has to be a movie we've never seen. That's 9 of the slots. We have 1 special column in there for the Devil's Pick, where if it lands on that, we have to go to a random generator, and Kirk will tell us what we have to watch as long as we've not reviewed it before. And then this year, a little perk, we're running a competition. So there's a monthly winner, and Jason won last month. So he gets an extra slot on the wheel. So he gets 4 slots. So technically there's 11, and it matters. So Kirk is up in February 1-0 with only 2 episodes left. He automatically wins if he wins any of the next 2 weeks, which I know everybody at home is saying no. But
I changed my movies. You guys might like
this
these
is true.
ones.
This is true. It's all good. But Kirk, I'm coming to you.
Determined.
I'm coming to you first, Kirk, because you are the only one obligated to have to make a change. So what are your 3 movies?
All right, Jason, give me thumbs up or a thumbs down if you appreciate these movies. So first, the movie I haven't seen, so I don't know. It's The Empty Man 2020. I think, Jason, Mike, you've seen that movie, right?
I did.
Okay, so 2 of us haven't seen that movie. All right, my next movie is Ready or Not from 2019, and my next movie is Evil Dead from 2013.
I thought we did that.
That's what Mike
Oh,
thinks.
did you guys
never
just
2013.
become best friends? Oh, that's
We did, yeah.
you guys can
We
braid
just
each.
became best
We
friends.
we did Evil Dead 2013.
I don't think
No.
we did Evil Dead 20. I looked it up. We didn't do Evil Dead 2013.
Amazingly,
I
so.
swore we did too. We did the original Evil Dead, but not, and we did Evil Dead Rise, but not Evil Dead 2013. At least it's not.
It made me
I
so
literally
happy
thought
when
we
I
did
caught
Evil
that.
Dead 2013. I was positive, but we did the original
I might
one.
keep-
And I think we
I might
all
have to keep that one
I
on there
think
for a
we
while.
all just watched the original or the Evil Dead 2013 when we watched the other Evil Dead. So,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we did when we watched Evil Dead
It's-
Rise. I think I watched it.
It
But
is
Jay-
not on there.
Jay, I'm gonna come to you. Actually, I'll go to me next because you get 4 movies.
Okay.
So, I'm 13 Ghosts is my movie that I've never seen. Can I get a thumbs up? No, I'm kidding. And then Strangers Pray at Night. I'm keeping on there because Strangers is coming out, and at this rate, I got to win in the next 2-3 months. And then we have
Maybe.
we have a listener request going back on the wheel. So Elliot, longtime listener, we appreciate you. He said I had to put it on because it is a found footage movie. It's Taking of Deborah Logan. So that is on the wheel.
And he didn't want me to put it on. I
Well,
kept his movie for like
Well, I
4
don't.
months.
Apparently,
It's
he
better
doesn't-
than PG staying on there. so.
Apparently, he doesn't want. Apparently, he doesn't want the movie to win because he made me put it on. So sorry, Elliot. We're in this for the
Sorry,
long
Elliot.
haul. Jason,
I have a feeling that's going to win today.
maybe I'd be really ecstatic if it did, just because I could win. But Jay, you get 4 movies.
I do get 4 movies. So Chud from 1984 is 1 movie. Street Trash is the one I have not seen from 1987 is 1 movie. But from 2022, we have X, and I'm going to double that up.
All right, so X is on there
Little
twice.
You need
double
to put it
X.
on there 3 times. XXX. I mean, you're just
I
missing
should.
this opportunity.
That's when Maxine.
Yeah, but I
comes
don't
out.
want to.
Yeah.
All right. So all that's left to do is spin
Spin
the
that wheel.
It's spinning. I gotta win one of these weeks, right? Come on, wheel.
I just hope it's not this one.
I just know he's changing it right now as we speak to try to get it to one of his movies, clicking it over.
I'm going to tell you, I did win.
Yeah,
I told you Mike was winning today.
And it is Strangers Pray at Night. So I put the karma into the atmosphere. But you know what I'm proud of? Not only did I win, but
You
Kirk
blocked me.
cannot say that he is the ultimate winner now with 1 week left to go in the month, because that's where Jason was, where basically it really didn't matter towards the end. So
basically now, the next week, either me or Mike can win, and all Jason can do is be the spoiler and give it back to the devil.
it could be devil. We are going into a week where literally we have no idea what's going to happen in March, and I kind of like that. But
And I haven't seen Strangers Pray at Night, so
Strangers Pray at Night. This is
been a
perfect.
while.
This is perfect timing because
Yeah,
we got the
getting ready to
new
come out.
Strangers. Now the new Strangers doesn't come out till May, but
you have to watch the first Strangers.
no, not for this.
No, it's a different story.
And this one is 2018 came out, but we will reconvene in 7 days, same bat time, same bat channel, and we will talk all things Strangers Pray at Night. I am just so cloud 9 right now because I never in a million years expected to win. But before we went on the air, Jason was like, I think this is your week. And
He did.
I think
I
Jason's actually what gave the wheel confidence to,
Yep.
to choose me. So
You're
thank
welcome.
You.
He
Listen, I
reached
do.
out to the devil.
do.
and
So that means
play-
if Mike wins next week, I get the extra slot in the wheel for
It doesn't.
March.
It doesn't work that way. But I appreciate that. Maybe I won't put Psycho Gorman back on there with that extra pick. But
Jason
I'll take
blew the
I'll
little
take that.
devil.
I will take that as a win. I will take that as a
Jason-
win.
Jason blew the little devil whistle for the biker gang and got you the win. So
listen.
Yes,
this is,
yes, I did.
I'm excited to rewatch this movie. It's been a little while since I've seen it, but we'll see how we rate it. But all right, well, that is episode 151. Straight liquor, no chaser, right? That is what we're doing here with 151. And as always, there's a multitude of ways that you can interact with us. The 3 main ways at this point, though, you can go on our Instagram, MVJ Horrorcast on Instagram, and you can talk to us through there. Kirk has done a fantastic job. We're over 1,000 members deep on our YouTube channel. Go in there. There's a bunch of
1,100.
short over 1,100 now. So short videos,
Almost.
clips, all of that. We actually are on the Tiki-Taki. We're going to get better at that because that's how we relate to a lot of people. But we also have a Facebook horror group. It's the easiest way because we are on there probably a ton. So lots of memes, shorts, videos, but let us know your thoughts. Let us know your your top 50. Do it. Give us 5 a week, just like or 5 a month, like we're doing. There's a lot of different other things and other aspects of the show. You want your movie put on the wheel? Sorry, Elliot, I'm winning. I'm just not winning for you right now. But we got Jason and Kirk can throw some on the slots as well. So lots of great stuff out there. But yeah, guys, there's a couple routes that I want to go with this of like, don't be a stranger. But this is how I want to end the show. I wish everybody out there the confidence The confidence of Nick Cage picking a movie role confidence. I think if you have that type of confidence, your week is going to be fan-fucking-tastic. Till next time.